थैंक यू एनी। साथियों, ये साल बहुत भयंकर रहा है. दिस रियली हैज बीन एन अनप्रेसिडेंटेड ईयर for all of us, and especially for those working in education. I'm saying this because many things have come in which almost seem major hurdles and probably permanent ways of trying to stop the work that we have been doing. मैं दो बच्चों का जिक्र करती हूँ. एक
Ma'am, if you can give me just 1 minute, I'll just mute everyone.
Please, बाकी लोग.
Ma'am, I've just sent you a request to unmute yourself. You will see a request on your screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
So I'm talking of just trying to remind ourselves symbolically through the narrative around two children. Very recently, what we have seen, 12-year-old Jamalo Makdam. She, for the first time, I mean, locked down completely, parents don't have any livelihood, nothing to eat. And with a few women of her village from Chhattisgarh, she walks down to a chili farm in Telangana for work. So children forced to actually go and work and get wages for their family and for food. Suddenly the lockdown comes in, no transport, no travel, no food, nothing, complete clamp down. They have no other choice, but they walk back through the forest for 3 days, more than 150 kilometers, and just a few kilometers from home, she dies. She falls, she dies, she collapses, and the doctor says electrolyte imbalance, and so that's it. So this is one child, 12-year-old, whom we know where she should have been. Another child, just 2 weeks back, 14-year-old Habib, Ghaziabad, very close to a city like Delhi, where we talk about all these things. What happens? He's gone to work with his father. On the way, he sees a place where he wants to drink water. It happens to be a temple. A 23-year-old Shringi comes out. He beats him, he stops him from having water, he bashes him, thrashes him. Not just that, as has been reported, he calls his aide and tells him, ये इस फोटो में, इस वीडियो में सबके दोनों के चेहरे दिखने चाहिए. So it is being done to actually put it out as an example in the public. He beats him on his private parts, and this child says, I don't know how to read. Had I known how to read, I might have been able to see this notice board, but that's not the question. So इस बच्चे को तो 14 साल के बच्चे को स्कूल में ही होना चाहिए था, पर वो किस तरह की शिक्षा की हम बात कर रहे हैं, वो कैसा संविधान, वो कैसा देश, क्या हमारे सामने विजन है, what have we been trying to struggle for? I still remember the parliamentary debates जब ये Right to Education Act को पास किया जाना था, उससे पहले जिस तरह के संविधान में बहस हम सुन रहे थे, और उतनी गहरी नहीं थी, उतनी सघन नहीं थी as we had expected, but still some parliamentarians, when they were trying to say why education has to be a fundamental right, they were looking at a larger canvas. They were looking at what education means to our lives, what education means to our vision of a nation, what it means to equity, what it means to fraternity. और जिस संविधान ने हमारे देश को बनाया और हमें वोट करने का हक दिया है, उसने शिक्षा के लिए क्या हमारे सामने चुनौती रखी है. But today, with what is happening in the last 1 year, स्कूल तो बंद हुए क्योंकि कोविड था, बीमारी थी, सही है, बच्चों को भी बचाना था, बड़ों को भी, बट उसके साथ क्या हुआ वो ज्यादा खतरनाक हुआ. The education system decided it could go online and carry on business as usual. NCERT ने एक करिकुलम निकाला जिसमें कहा कि everyone in India has a phone. तो वो किस इंडिया की बात कर रही थी? एनसीईआरटी। और ये कहा कि जिसके पास स्मार्टफोन नहीं है दे कैन सेंड SMS। एंड उन्होंने जो करिकुलम निकाला वो हास्यास्पद है. If we look at that curriculum, what it talks about the chapter on equity, on equality. It talks about the Constitution. It almost saddens us to see that in this last year, this is the concept of what online education can be. They tell children, they tell parents that you can download SMSs, you can tell children to download these ideas, and then to write. There is a task which tells children, make a comic strip about the inequities that you find around you. Write an essay about equity and girls' participation, women's participation as a principle for democracy. हम उनको ये essay लिखने को कह रहे थे जब करोड़ों लोग, millions of people were on the roads. Their children were being dragged on suitcases. Their children were dying while walking. They were being dislocated. कोई midday meal नहीं, कोई school नहीं. और ये हम कह रहे हैं, अब हमारी apex body ये कह रही है. But सबसे खतरनाक ये है कि this is now coming. पिछले ही हफ्ते I have had the opportunity to listen to and be part of a consultancy in one case. राजस्थान के चीफ मिनिस्टर ने एक काउंसिल शुरू किया था, काउंसिल बनाया है, और उसके लिए एक कंसल्टेंसी में हमको कई लोगों को शिक्षा, राइट टू एजुकेशन वाले, हम कुछ 4-5 लोगों को बुलाया गया था. एंड the title of the note, very sketchy note, said equity and inclusion. तो हमें कुछ थोड़ा सा, we felt a little reassured that Rajasthan is talking about equity and inclusion, but we were shocked to say that the person who was actually preparing for this consultancy was looking as digital education as the only option. He was talking of equity and inclusion only in terms of digital education. और ये एक अपवाद नहीं है. Recently, I have met a chief secretary who has just been appointed in a state, and he said that they are not finding teachers, so now they are connecting all their schools to satellite television, and they are in a hurry. So they asked IIT Chennai to do it, and they said नहीं, कम से कम 1 साल लगेगा satellite television हर स्कूल में पहुंचाने के लिए. तो चीफ सेक्रेटरी ने कहा कि we are doing it on our own because we have no time. I mean, they are not even listening. When I asked the question and said that if you don't have mathematics teachers, don't we need to prepare and find out how we are going to do that? Satellite television is not going to answer, but this is the model. In Delhi government, also in Delhi government schools, जब online classes चल रही थी, we know less than 20% children, even from private schools, even from universities, 20 to 30 could actually access and participate. और हमारे लिए तो ये elementary education का कोई मॉडल नहीं है. Online, चाहे आप blackboard को घूर के देखें, or you stare at a phone or stare at a screen, this is not education. The RTE chapter 5 tells us what is the right of a child for what kind of education, what kind of explorations, discoveries, discussing different views and perspectives within the classroom, within the site of education is crucial for a democracy, and they are talking about that. But now in the COVID के बहाने, the government, as the NEP shows us, NEP में पैंडेमिक का शब्द केवल एक जगह आया है. ये चैप्टर 24 में आया है जो ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन की बात कर रही है. और एनईपी के आड़ में अब एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग टू बी शिफ्टेड टू ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन. वो माना जा रहा है, यूनिवर्सिटीज भी ये मान रही हैं कि दिस इज द ऑप्शन, वी हैव टू प्रिपेयर फॉर दिस. और कल ही बल्कि यूजीसी ने यूनिवर्सिटी का एक नॉर्म निकाला है दैट 40% ऑफ एन अंडरग्रेजुएट कोर्स कैन बी डन बाय ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज. जिन कॉलेजेस में स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनको भी कह रहे कि आप उनको ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज करने दीजिए. सो दिस इज नाउ द मॉडल. यू डोंट नीड टीचर्स, यू कैन जस्ट, द गवर्नमेंट कैन कंटिन्यू एंड से दैट वी आर डूइंग एजुकेशन under the name of online education. और ये कौन है online education जिनका business बहुत बड़ा है? We know that. All these coaching providers and service providers in the last 1 year, बाकी economy तो बिल्कुल नीचे गिरी, but the companies which had a major boost in India and across the world were education technology providers. So they are technology providers. It is not education as we are concerned. Dusra, what is happening in terms of even the children, the private agencies which are coming up? एक तरफ NEP ने कह दिया है कि जो स्कूल छोटे हैं उनको बंद कर दो because they are suboptimal. So in December, 10,000 schools in Odisha, 10,000 schools in Madhya Pradesh, many states during this month they were closed down because they were tribal schools. So they were in remote habitations with very small populations. पर उसके साथ क्या हुआ है? जो बजट आई है, एक तरफ से तो बजट ने पैसा काटा है काफी ज्यादा जो बहुत जरूरी था और खासकर कोविड के बाद और भी ज्यादा फंड्स चाहिए थे, बट बजट ने पैसा कहाँ दिया है? सैनिक स्कूल्स. So we know that what kind of an agenda is being pushed. वो क्या militaristic, authoritarian, majoritarian एक समझ है जो कि private agencies के साथ सैनिक स्कूलों को बढ़ावा और नवोदय विद्यालय के मॉडल पर, but एकलव्य schools. Eklavya schools, I have recently again heard from one state that they have offered it to private agencies who are clearly promoting a majoritarian religion. They have been offered Eklavya schools where the minimum funds from the government is 35 crore. And then you get the land and you start the school and you run it. So this is the other model that is now coming in, which we have seen. Close down these schools. उसी के साथ आप ट्राइबल इलाकों में ही किस तरह के स्कूल शुरू कर रहे हैं. So now the question now for us is कि NEP ने तो RTE को बिल्कुल अबैंडन कर दिया है. एनी कह रही है कि RTE है, मगर NE कह रहा है कि RTE की जरूरत ही नहीं है, बिकॉज NEP सेज दैट ओपन स्कूल भी क्लास 3 में चलेगा, सारी टेस्टिंग सारे असेसमेंट सेंट्रलाइज्ड होंगे, करिकुलम जो होगा वो नेशनल बनेगा और थोड़ा सा चौक some local flavor will be added by the states. So the whole centralized model is going to be pushed down. And not just that, ये जो एक नए investment bonds आ रहे हैं, इनमें भी ये लोग क्लास 3 के लर्निंग आउटकम्स देखेंगे उनके इन्वेस्टमेंट पार्टनर्स को दिखाने के लिए कि कहाँ इन्वेस्ट करें कहाँ नहीं करें. सो ये जो लर्निंग आउटकम्स का हुआ है, ये जो आउटकम्स हैं जो कहते हैं कि इनपुट्स की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, NEP says that. NEP says there will be no focus on inputs. So we know who is going to be pushed out, and 50% of children are being now said that they will be in vocational education, both in school and at college level. And vocational education में education के नाम पे शून्य है. There is no education. There is only skills. There are only skills, a curriculum decided by the industry. And we are saying that जहाँ टीचर नहीं है वहाँ community members can come in. वो कौन community members हैं, वो किस एजेंडा से आ रहे हैं, किस समझ से आ रहे हैं, इस देश की क्या उनके सामने समझ है जो वो आके स्कूलों में उनको खुली छूट है आने के लिए. So I think this for us now, it is not just a struggle for RTE, it is a struggle for the constitution, because constitution के खिलाफ कई चीजें हुई हैं. constitution में states अपनी policies बनाती हैं पर यहाँ उनको वो भी छूट नहीं मिली है. and also it's a struggle for an idea of India which gives an education to everyone, to Habib and to Shringi, to understand what does the constitution ensure, what does equity ensure, and that everyone has a right through an education to understand each other, not to propagate hatred. And we must really question this hatred. We should go to courts when we find that children are not getting the schools, their schools are being closed, or tribal children are getting further oppressed. I think this year for us is a major challenge, and I just want to close here saying that the 11th year of the RTE, almost opens up many more challenges before us beyond RTE. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita ji. I think जो आपको सुनकर I think the kind of concern and desperate phase we are in, it's really very evident. And एक तरीके से देखें तो RTE had one particular direction and approach from the country in relation to the constitution, and what we today have as national education policy or other policies is a totally different approach and a different direction. So I think we see the two divergence. Certainly the national education policy is not in keeping with the RTE framework, and so we see a completely different direction and approach that the government is taking in terms of the education and the way education will go forward. And all of us who recognize that this country's 70% of children, 80% of children need the government to implement the right to education for them to be educated and for the country to be educated. I think that's very clear to all of us. इतनी सारी knowledge और इतनी सारी issues को रख कर भी सरकार जब अपने नई तरीका से education देना चाहते हैं, it really is a reflection of what the government is planning to do. And I think that's where really the RTE forum and all of us, parents, children, have to come forward to continue to demand in whatever way that we can continue to demand RTE as a right of every child. I think, we are extremely distressed. We all know, but to hear it again is really something that distresses all of us working in the sector. So thank you for once again bringing the big challenges that we face today and to work towards something that we can work together on this whole agenda. So we will take questions. I can see some questions that are already there in the chat box, but after the other two speakers, I would request Professor Govinda to bring his thoughts. He's also been someone that we are all very familiar with and been one of the advocates for an equitable quality education and evidence-based, planning and entitlements that we need to work in education. So thank you, Govinda ji, for being with us.
Thank you.
Look forward to your thoughts. I'll give about 15 minutes of time. I think there is an agreement on the issues that have been raised and the strategies that have been placed. I think it really becomes for us to move forward as a forum on how at this point and within the given larger social political context, how do we make education as a fundamental mobilizing or a fundamental framework for reclaiming the right of citizenship, development, education. So how do we make that beyond just education campaign? Thank you, Farah. I think Anita ji also would like to, give a last thought. Please, Anita.
My last thought is that, even though we have looked at so many things, and I'm so happy that Farah could make it and also sum up many of the ideas that had come. But this is one thing when Farah says, I'm very worried. I cannot campaign for the internet for children just so that they can do their education, because I know education is just completely shifting to online mode. So the kind of struggle that we've done for 40 years to try and say what kind of education, what activities, what meeting together, what talking and sharing your ideas is just being brushed aside at every level, right from the beginning to higher education. The policy actually says it. So I think I would like to resist that for even privileged children. And I found that when I wrote that, and Times of India invited me for a discussion on digital education, and they kind of edited one or two words which said that only 20% are logging in, or even if they're logging in, really, what are they doing? But the maximum responses they got was from privileged parents who said they are very worried because this is what's happening. They don't think that this is good for the child's emotional development. They don't think this is good for education, but this is what they're getting pushed into. So I think we have to resist that, rather than say that the poor child needs, an internet. But anyway, these are discussions we'll continue with.
We should.
Yeah,
we should. Anita, I cannot agree with you more. This is an articulation for a conversation.
Yeah.
It is a plea for a conversation around what is going on, because I do see this continuing. For the next year, they're not going to open schools. And poor kids have lost already a year. They're going to lose a second year. We need to figure out how we're going to manage this, because this COVID crisis ain't going away anywhere soon. I believe my son, who goes to a private school, but he's just 13. I saw that he lost a whole year of education despite having a computer and the internet. So I hear you. I'm completely with you in spirit. I think we need to have a longer conversation to take this forward. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I think, as you say, it's really many conversations that we need. I mean, we've not really, people have mentioned, what about children with disabilities? We've not been able to really look at them, or, distant areas and Northeast children. There are so many complexities that we have to handle. So I think the forum is some place where a lot of these things can come together, and there is representation from across the country, and people's concern is very, very evident. So I would sort of request Amrish ji to do the closing with all the thoughts that we have presented here, and also plans for moving it ahead.
Yeah.
I would like to take a very short time to
thank
really
you, Annie,
I think Amrish ji will thank all the panel members. But from my side, really thank you for an excellent time of engagement and discussion and thoughts that we can carry forward. Amrish ji.
Yeah, and this we received wonderful suggestions to take forward this RT movement. We are not going to give up this right, which we got after the decades. Take it forward, this fundamental right and this Right to Education Act to be implemented at the grassroots level. And the suggestions came here. We will compile all the suggestions, and we will take it in our National Council with the other networks and civil society organizations, because education is a basic component for the development. So we will take it up and we will discuss in our National Council and state forums, and we will start this because what Professor Dubey has said, that they are actually distracting the mind of the people from right to education to NEP. NEP is such a promise which is never going to fulfill. Or NEP is diluting the whole RT, and whole exercise is government exercise is moving around the implementation of NEP. And NEP is a very confusing document. So we will take it RT movement forward with the help of our state forum, civil society organization, educationists, and all those who worked hard for the universalization of education. Thank you once again to the participants, speakers, and moderator. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amrish ji. Thank you all the panel members and the RT forum. Thank you.
Thank you.
We should have a face-to-face meeting.
Sure.
June.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should have.
Start, sir.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.